6:14 a.m. Sunday. The sunlight is hitting the hotel carpet at an angle that makes the dust visible. The tuxedo is a crumpled shadow in the corner. The expensive dress is hanging on the bathroom door like a ghost of the person you were 12 hours ago. You're sitting on the edge of the bed in your boxers, holding your phone. The screen is the only thing glowing in the quiet. You open the bank app. The number doesn't move. It won't move until the final checks you wrote on Friday afternoon clear the system. You spent $50,000 to buy 1 day of perfection. You didn't realize that perfection is the most expensive thing you can borrow. The coffee on the nightstand is cold. The room is silent. And for the first time in 18 months, you can hear the math. Level 1, the engagement. Buying the feeling. It started with a ring. $8,000. You didn't have $8,000 sitting in an account doing nothing. You had a credit limit and a desire to not look like the person you actually are. You walked into the jeweler and the salesman called you boss. He shook your hand too long. He walked you past the modest bands and stopped at the one that glowed under the recessed lighting. You didn't buy a stone. You bought a feeling. When you proposed, everyone clapped. Your mother cried, the proud kind of tears that don't need words. You felt like you broke a generational line. You felt like you were finally arriving somewhere. You didn't know you were just walking into a different kind of room with a door that locks from the outside. The first rule: the most expensive thing you can buy is someone else's definition of success. Level 2, the planning, the math trap. The florist doesn't ask about your 401k. The caterer doesn't care about your retirement date. They see a customer, but in the dark of your spreadsheet, you're becoming a problem. You spent months in meetings with people wearing polos one size too small who called your wedding a once-in-a-lifetime investment. $200 for chairs, $4,000 for a photographer to capture a version of you that only exists for 6 hours. You tell yourself it's an investment in memories. You didn't realize that memories don't pay rent. You sat at your kitchen table at midnight and added up the real cost. Not the budget you told your friends, but the everything. $1,850 for the venue, $380 for the cake, $190 for the invitations, $2,670 for the average monthly payment on the debt you're about to incur. The system didn't explain that the dream was a lie of omission. It just let you sign the check. The second rule: $50,000 doesn't buy a beginning. It buys an anchor. Level 3, the social altitude. The night was a blur of permission. Permission to be the center of the world. Permission to be the person Mark and Ryan envy. Marcus from college hugs you at the open bar and says, "You're doing big things, bro." You smile. You order another round of top shelf bourbon that costs more than your monthly grocery bill. You don't feel the money leaving. You feel the altitude. You're speaking a language of abundance, but you've forgotten the translation. You look at the guests and you see a standing ovation from people who will forget the menu by Tuesday. For 6 hours, you are the billionaire you've been reading about in the files. You are the partner, the player, the one who made it. The third rule: wealth is quiet. Ego is expensive. Level 4: the indifferent system. The party is over. The likes on the photo of your first dance are still coming in, but the bank notification hits first. A $35 overdraft fee because a vendor's final check cleared faster than your transfer. You call the bank. The hold music loops 3 times. A voice answers, reads from a script, and tells you fees can't be reversed at this time. You ask to speak to a manager. They tell you someone will call back within 48 hours. Nobody calls back. The bank doesn't care that you were a prince last night. Today, you are just a risk score with shoes. Indifference at scale looks exactly like cruelty. The fourth rule: the system doesn't change for you. It only changes because of the number next to your name.
Level 5. Translation loss. You're 27 now. You've been married for 2 years. You're at a backyard cookout. A friend is telling a story about how he's been driving for Uber because his rent went up $300. You nod. You make the right face, but something inside you doesn't move. A year ago, you would have felt that $300 in your chest. Today, you hear the number and your brain processes it like a weather forecast in a city you don't live in. Your problem isn't the $300. Your problem is the $460 a month you're still paying for the dream. The friendship didn't break, but there's a gap now. You stopped speaking the language of struggle fluently, but you haven't learned the language of wealth yet either. You're caught in the middle ground, paying for a Saturday that happened 700 days ago. The fifth rule: $100,000 isn't a number. It's the receipt for the person you became while you were chasing it. Level 6. The underwater year. You are 28 years old. Your company offers you a transfer, a different city, a better position, $18,000 more a year. The kind of opportunity that doesn't come twice. You sit with your manager on a Thursday afternoon. He tells you to take the weekend to think about it. You don't need the weekend. You check your accounts. Between the wedding debt, the car lease you took to match the wedding lifestyle, and the house you bought because everyone said it was the smart move, you are underwater. You turn down the transfer on Monday morning. Your friend Dante kept renting. Dante didn't have the big wedding. He had $100,000 in an account you aren't allowed to know about. He took the job in Austin. He packed 2 suitcases and left on a Sunday. You watched him drive away from your kitchen window. 2 years ago, this was proof you made it. Now, it's the reason you can't leave. The sixth rule: a house and a wedding are good investments for the bank, but they are anchors for you. Level 7. The decay. You are 30 now. The wedding photos are in a leather-bound book on the coffee table. The spine is starting to crack. The yard is overgrown because the mower broke, and replacing it means choosing between grass and groceries. You sit in your car, the same one with the check engine light that's been on since you were 25. You realize you aren't a partner to the system. You're an asset they've already harvested. You spent 5 years of payments and 5 years of sacrifice for a memory that is getting harder to justify. The seventh rule: you can't fix what you won't face. Level 8. The silent choice. Somewhere right now, someone is looking at a florist's invoice. They feel behind. They feel like they need to show the world they've made it. They don't know yet that the dream is a door that locks from the outside. They don't know that the silence of a growing bank account is louder than a wedding band. Most people will sign the check. They'll take the photos. They'll wake up poor. You did the math. You saw the wire. You chose the version of yourself that your future self will recognize. The 8th rule. The race doesn't end when you get rich. The race ends the second you stop running for people who were never watching anyway. The choice is being made at a kitchen table right now. A pen, a checkbook, and a dream that costs more than a decade of your life. You can buy the standing ovation, or you can buy your freedom. Most will choose the applause. Subscribe. The next decision you make decides which version of you shows up 10 years from now.